So it says in this week's Parsha, the very first pasuk, very first verse, Im Bechukosai telechu, if in my statutes you will walk, you will go. Ves mitzvosai tishmeru, and my mitzvahs you will keep. V'asisam osam, and you will do them. And the Parsha goes on to say all these wonderful things that Hashem will do for us by simply keeping the Torah. However, this word, ve'im bechukosai telechu, is an interesting, what does that mean? Exactly, if you will go in my statutes. What is it talking about exactly? So Rashi comes to clarify and says, Yachol ze kiyum ha-mitzvahs. You might think this is talking about doing the mitzvahs. No, that can't be. Why? Kishu omer ves mitzvosai tishmeru. Because when the pasuk continues on, it says explicitly what's going to happen if you keep my mitzvahs. So, im bechukosai telechu is not referring to the keeping of the mitzvahs. So Rashi says, ha mani mekayim im bechukosai telechu. What are we to set or establish as the meaning of these words in the verse? Shitiyu amelim b'Torah. That we should be amal in the Torah. What does that mean to be amal? Amal means to toil, to exert ourselves in understanding the Torah. That, I believe, is the simple meaning of what it is to be amal the Torah. However, this idea of amelus, of toiling, is not something which the Jews have a monopoly in. The Chafetz Chaim cites a chazal, a passage in the Talmud, which says, and we may be familiar with this from a siyum, it says, Anu amelim vehem amelim. We the Jews are amal, we toil, and they, the nations of the world, they also, as well, toil. However, the Talmud continues. It says there's a difference. Anu amelim umekablim schar. We are toiling and we get reward for it. Heim amelim, the nations of the world are toiling, the einam mekablim schar, and they're not getting reward for it. So the Chafetz Chaim says, wait a second, how can this be? The nations of the world, they're toiling and they're not getting schar, they're not getting reward, pay for their work. So he says what the Gemara means by this is as follows. You never hire, let's say you hire somebody to make you a suit, right? Or to build for you a table, right? And you give him a week to do it. And when the week is up, the job's supposed to be done. You have something less than a suit. The suit's not done. Maybe closer to a tank top. And you don't have a table. You have maybe a plank, or you have some legs without anything on it. Would the person that was hired to do this work get paid? No. He didn't do his job. You hired him to make you something in a certain amount of time. He didn't do his job. Contract is off. He was amal in something. He didn't finish it. So he doesn't get his pay. By amelus in Torah, says the Chafetz Chaim, it's completely different. Amelus in Torah is not about finishing the job. Torah study is not about finishing it. One can be amal in Torah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, rewards us for that effort. If we were amal in Torah, we strived, we exerted ourselves to understand something, we're going to get reward for that, even if we did not come to really understand it. But we tried and we're amal and we toiled in it, we're going to get reward for that. It's not about finishing the job when it comes to Torah study, says the Chafetz Chaim. I would just like to say that amelus also has another connotation. That it's not just about exerting yourself, right? But it's also about sacrificing, I would say, comforts for the Torah. A melus is a very wide phrase. It encompasses a lot. If one is going to be really amal in Torah, he has to really exert himself and be willing to sacrifice as well some of the worldly comforts that may come. One, in order, Torah study is not meant to be done necessarily on an easy boy chair. Is that what they're called? Lazy boy. Yes. Thank you. And just to close with a thought of encouragement and perhaps a little inspiration, I'd just like to ask, it says teilechu. It has a connotation of going, walking, of movement. Right? And a chok is something which we would not have really come up with it. Right? There's certain mitzvahs in the Torah which a human being could understand. Murder, theft, adultery. We would say these things are negative things and not good for society. Right? But there's other things like shatnez, not wearing wool and linen together. Who would have ever thought of that? Right? But we still have a chiyuv, so to speak, of actually trying to understand what a chok is. We can derive some meaning from it. We can make some sense out of it. We can turn a chok to some degree into a mishpat, into a reasonable mitzvah. But that applies to a chok, because each time you delve into a chok, there's movement. You're always getting deeper and deeper. And I think what comes out of this, very simply, is that we're supposed to take from this a lesson that in our learning, there should be movement. Spiritually, we should be ascending. Learning was never meant to be a stagnant exercise. It is something which is supposed to be exhilarating and uplifting. Thank you very much.